If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
Is the 21st century better defined by LeBron or by Brady?
The New England Patriots, what have they looked like the last year and a half without Tom Brady?
Good question. Inside the lines, it's clearly Brady. I think that's inarguable. And inside the lines, I mean on the field or on the court, he simply dominated his sport more than LeBron did.
Tom Brady is the best at his sport of all time. There is no conversation. So relative to all the other quarterbacks or all the other football players in the history of football, you cannot put anybody on Tom Brady's level. Can you say the same thing about LeBron James? I think LeBron James is great, but I'm pretty sure that, what are we, like 50-50? Some people would say probably 80-20. Most people would say that Jordan is the greatest of all time. So LeBron James isn't even the consensus greatest of all time in his sport. So he need to stop barking up this Tom Brady tree.
Just dominance of their sport. Brady owned the NFL. In records individually, he will retire with more than LeBron and more significant records than LeBron. And then, obviously, winning, he's won more Super Bowls than any franchise, okay? And LeBron, they've both been to 10 championships, finals or Super Bowls. Brady's won 7, LeBron's won 4, so he's lost more than he's won. So as an athlete, I would say Brady.
When LeBron won his first title, it was after he went to Miami, joined D. Wade and Bosh. Lost the first go-round, by the way, to Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki, and those boys, even Jason Terry, because at one time in the fourth quarter, Jason Terry was guarding LeBron James, and LeBron James would have scored him. So don't get me started with that, okay? Because they should have won that title, but they didn't do it, okay? So obviously that happened. Then you win back-to-backs. Then you get annihilated by the Spurs. You go to Cleveland. Who do you have? You got Kyrie and Kevin Love. Now, Kyrie and Kevin Love both go down your first go-round in 2016, go to, say, 73-9. You take them out. I get all of that, okay? And then you go to L.A. and you win a title. Who do you have? You have Anthony Davis. When Tom Brady was in New England, okay, Tom Brady, particularly the latter years, I'm talking about when they beat a Seattle, okay, when they beat an Atlanta or what have you. I'm saying you look at them, and even though the defense was good, you looked at it and you said, okay, Tom Brady is the big reason why this team has been successful, which was proven after he leaves.
Here's the thing, Nick, and this is an argument for Brady. Brady leaves his game as the undisputed GOAT.
Let's talk about where he started from. Okay. This dude is a 6th-round pick.
I'm not taking that away from him.
He's coming in unheralded. Nobody has it. And you watch what he did. The dude's only not made the playoffs once. In 21, I mean, like, think about football.
Yeah.
So listen, his leadership.
I think LeBron's made it every year since he went to the championship.
When he walks in the building, he changes the culture. We talk about team and leadership. So when you're talking about Tom Brady and what he's been able to bring everybody else around him, he has improved them. Then you see him in Tampa. When he goes to Tampa, like that whole thing, that whole dynamic has changed. But he did the same thing in New England. He just wasn't given the credit as much because of Bill Belichick and that relationship. And that's all fine. That's all well and good. And they did have great defenses. They did have that. But
early on.
But as he progressed and his career moved on, he took, with the salary cap the way it was, he did more with less. He didn't have Anthony Davis. He didn't have those other dudes that you would go, those are the dudes. They'd bring in running backs like on a turnstile.
There's no question about it.
Receivers, there was no receivers.
Now that Brady has announced his retirement, how do you put his numbers into perspective here or quantify them?
Yeah, I mean, our data at PFF only goes back to 2006, so we missed the first few seasons of Brady's career. But since 2006, you know, we've graded every player on every play in the NFL. He's the #1 graded quarterback during that time. He's #1 in our wins above replacement metric by far. That's the same metric. He was #1 this past year. We had him as the most valuable player in the NFL. And I was actually, I tweeted that out yesterday, maybe a little confusing the way I tweeted it, but he's the most valuable player, you know, since the start of 2021, since the start of 2020, since the start of 2018, the Patrick Mahomes era. So I think that's one way to quantify Brady's greatness. No matter which year you pick, he's the most valuable player since that point using our WAR metric, despite having Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and all the other great quarterbacks that have come and gone or are still around in the NFL right now.
Then he goes to Tampa Bay. When he goes to Tampa Bay, he finally has an opportunity to make decisions. And when he makes those decisions, what does he do? Because Bruce Arians leads on him, and he shows it, okay? He'll build it, okay? So all of those things when you're taking into consideration. Here's my ultimate point against you. Keyshawn Johnson has been famous for saying this. There is no greater team sport than football. So this man, and by the way, and he still has more championships in an ultimate team sport. He has more championships than LeBron James, more finals MVPs, more Super Bowl MVPs than LeBron James. There's nothing to talk about. And by the way, has been to as many Super Bowls as LeBron James has been to the finals.
But what do you factor in on naming him MVP?
Yeah, so for us, it's evaluating every single play, right? So we go through each play, and if Brady makes a great throw and it's dropped, we're going to give him credit for that properly, right? So it's isolating his play from everyone else's. And when you do that back to 2006, he's our highest graded, he's our most valuable. And then in this particular season, where I think Aaron Rodgers probably ends up winning the MVP, we did have Brady graded higher and more valuable because a lot of those hidden plays went Brady's way, where Aaron Rodgers had a little bit more luck in those, in a few other areas where Brady didn't, particularly say like interceptions.
And we've looked back at plenty of his career rankings for why he's the greatest of all time. But how about some playoff perspective when comparing Brady to past and present elite quarterbacks? We all know about his 7 Super Bowl wins, but to get there, you have to make it through the postseason. And Brady's 35 playoff wins are the most ever. Second on the list is Joe Montana and his 16. Montana, of course, also won 4 Lombardis. Then there's Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Patrick Mahomes, all combining for 13 wins in the conference championship and Super Bowl. Brady all by himself has 17 wins in those 2 parts of the postseason. There's greatness in the numbers, but legends are made in the playoffs, and there's none bigger than Tom Brady.
Brady's best year and worst year were what?
Yeah, it's tough to argue with 2007 as his best year. I honestly think 2016 was his best year. So he's coming off the Deflategate deal. As far as throwing the football and pure PFF grade, that was his best year from start to finish. They end up winning the Super Bowl, of course, against the Falcons. Worst year, 2013, 2019, the 2 years where I think if you look back at the weapons and what was happening in New England at that time, it was also the 2 worst supporting casts that Brady's had. But I think 2013 and 2019 are the 2 years that stand out that clearly were not in line with the rest of Brady's career.
That's it for this video. I post a new Tom Brady video every day, so please like and subscribe. That way you'll always have a new Tom Brady video to watch every single day.